Hello, everyone, and welcome to Speak Up Sis Podcast. This is the place where everyday women and men have an opportunity to share their stories to inspire yours. We say what you think no one wants to hear, but everyone needs to know. I'm your host, Angel Charmaine. And listen, everybody, it's the first Monday of the month. So y'all already know it is a blue flame conversation tonight. Now, for those of you who may be new to Speak Up Sis Podcast, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you click subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you can get some updates when we're here. But for those of you who may be new to the podcast, the Blue Flame Conversation, no, it's not that Blue Flame. If you're from ATL, you know what I'm talking about. But it's not that Blue Flame, y'all. I have a really good friend. She's a wise woman, friend of mine, wise counsel. And she calls me lovingly the Blue Flame. And she says, girl, when you open that mouth, you be burning up some stuff because the blue flame is the hottest part of the fire, y'all.
Right.
So we call this conversation the Blue Flame Conversation because this is where we say what needs to be said to burn some things up. So tonight, I have invited two amazing men into the space, y'all. Yes, got two men on my side tonight, y'all. They're going to come in and talk to me tonight about Black relationships. So let me go ahead and bring on into the space Mr. Leon Davis Jr. and his son, Jonathan Davis. Welcome, gentlemen, to Speak Up Sis Podcast. How y'all doing tonight?
We're doing great.
Good.
Thank you for having us.
Most definitely. I am so happy that you all said yes. So listen, everyone listening in or watching. I saw these two gentlemen on Instagram, actually. They were on another podcast, and y'all know I'm always paying attention to people. And I heard them talking, and they were saying some good stuff. But I heard something about Jesus in there. So I was like, oh, I need them on my show. So I reached out and they obliged, and now we're here. And so I just want to say thank you, gentlemen, for saying yes to coming into the space, especially to have this type of conversation that we're going to have tonight. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you for having us.
Yes, ma'am.
So before we get started, I'd like for you to introduce yourselves to the people so they know a little bit about who you are and they can kind of get an idea of why I would ask you to come in and talk about Black relationships tonight. So who wants to start first?
I'll start since I'm the oldest.
Oh, that's what's up. So we'll let wisdom speak first.
Yeah.
So if you will, please share with everyone a little bit about who is Leon Davis Jr.
Well, you just said my name, and I grew up in a little small town in Georgia, and then I matriculated to Nashville, Tennessee. That's where I went to school at Tennessee State University. So I went to Tennessee State University, and I graduated with a criminal justice degree. And later on in life, I went to American Baptist College and graduated with a theological degree in Bible studies. And right now, I've been married for 27 years. And I have 2 kids, and those are the best thing that's ever happened to me besides getting saved. So I'm thankful to God that I have that going on, and sometimes people take that for granted, but I don't. So I'm thankful for my children. I'm thankful for my wife, but most of all, I'm thankful for the fact that God has blessed me in that way.
That is what's up. That's what I like to hear. So thank you. For coming on today. Now, your son, this is one of those blessings you were just talking about.
Without a doubt. He was the first one, and I got another one. He's 26, and the other one is 20. And like I said, they the ones that made me get right.
Children will do that, won't they?
Yeah.
Children will do that. I have 4 sons.
Yes.
So yes.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about then.
I do. So I totally get it. All right, Jonathan, tell us a little bit about who you are.
Good evening, Speak Up Sis audience. My name is Jonathan Davis. Born and raised in Nashville, Tennessee. As Pop said, I'm 26 years old. I have obtained my high school diploma, thank God. But I also went to Nashville State Community College, where I was able to get my associate's degree in exercise science. And then from there, I went to Cumberland University, also a little small town outside of Nashville, and got my bachelor's degree in exercise science. Throughout my undergrad time, I was blessed with an $8,000 scholarship to bowl. Not a lot of us bowl, so to speak. So for me to be able to do that for the culture, and then just do something that I love doing, and be able to be, blessed behind it, was something that helped me get through school. So 2 degrees I have right now. I'm a part of a Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, so shout out to those that are Greek. And just 26 years old, and just finding my way day by day. I'm a small piece of leather, but I feel like I'm pretty put together. So
I like that. Did you say you're a small piece of leather, but you think you're well put together?
I think I am.
Listen. One thing y'all are gonna learn. I like old country sayings, and that one sounds rather country. If I say so myself.
Straight from the South.
Yeah.
So if you hear it again, I'm gonna give you your credit for it. How about that? I'm gonna give you credit for it. All right. So thank you, Jonathan, for joining us tonight as well. And before we jump into this really hot topic tonight, if you will, please share with the people a little bit about Black Men Vent Podcast.
Yes. So again, thank y'all for having us. We are the Black Men Vent 2 podcast. Good morning. And we just we started everything off literally with a men's forum that we had at my dad's house, and we would just bring various men from all age groups, about 4 to 8 roughly in terms of how many were here, and we would just talk. I mean, it was during COVID, so we couldn't hold on to that forum as long as we would want to, but during this time we would just meet up on a Saturday when everybody was mostly free, and we would pick various topics and questions out of a hat, if you will, and everybody would pass the hat around and read their question and give either their experience, what they've been through, or how they best personify, if you will, with their question. So different questions arose when we're talking about depression, talking about anxiety, talking about just grief, various things that Black men go through that do not get talked about. That essentially kind of transpired into where we are today. It all started from that forum, a conversation in the driveway, and a talk at a baseball game. Once we did all 3 of those things and put a little bit of prayer behind it, we are, again, the Black Men Vent 2 podcast is what we are here standing as today. And as a podcast, we've reached now 10 countries. I checked today, it's 10 international countries. We've been in 2 magazines, and this is our third podcast that we've collabed with, all in 5 months time, and we've reached a total of 1,200 downloads in 5 months. So said all that to say God is good, and just from a young man's perspective and a seasoned perspective, I think we're doing well, and we're just gonna continue to just allow God to lead us wherever he may see fit.
Oh my goodness. I love everything about what you just said, who you all are, all that good stuff. So I already know the conversation that we're about to have is going to be robust, to say the least. I'm really, really excited about it. And just let me say this as well. The podcast is Black Men Vent 2. That you don't see the 2 on the screen because that's my fault.
It's okay.
That's my fault. I didn't send the 2 in. So Gary and Mike, y'all don't be mad at me. That's not the studio team. Shout out to King's Broadcasting Studios. Y'all already know they're amazing. My studio team, but the podcast is Black Men Vent 2.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So I just want to make sure that that everybody knows that. So before we jump into this, we got some guests. So is it okay if we shout out the people because they're going to be joining the conversation tonight?
Yeah.
All right. So on YouTube, Lynn Jones, how you doing, sis? That's my little sis. I love you. I'm glad you are here. She says, blessed evening, queen. Tamika, she says, good evening, everyone. Chris Balinas, Good evening, everyone. She's tuning in from the Philippines. We have Richardine Star Brown. How you doing? She says, joyful day, everyone. Gemma says, good evening, beautiful lady and gentlemen. We've got J Real ATL saying good evening. Betty Hill says, good evening, everyone. This is really amazing. So we've got a nice group of watchers tonight, and I'm sure they'll be tuning in as we continue to have this conversation. So let's jump right into it. We done with all the niceties, right? We done with being nice, all the Southern hospitality.
Yeah.
Tonight, everybody, we are going to be talking about Black relationships. Who's the weakest link? Black romantic relationships. And let me throw this out there. Black heterosexual romantic relationships. Don't come for me. Don't come for me, nobody. I just want to let y'all know we're talking heterosexual romantic relationships, okay? Because that is our experiences, and that's all we know how to talk about right now. So let's talk about it, guys. I'm going to ask. Let's just jump out there. Y'all are two men. Who's the weakest link? Is it her? Is it him? Is it them? Or is it neither?
You looking at me?
Let me.
Now the cat got your tongue.
Let me start off. From my perspective, and from what I've seen in our communities and what I've experienced, from my perspective, it's the male. And the reason I say it's the male, because the male is supposed to be the leader. Now, when the male is allowed to be the leader, now that's where the woman comes in at, the ladies. She has to allow the male to be the leader, but she have to also make sure that she picks the right leader. Because sometimes you get a brother and you pick him for the wrong reasons, and he might not be the leader that you need him to be. So sometimes, because see, I learned this a long time ago. When I put like this, I didn't learn this. God put this in my spirit one day. And I was wondering why we having so many divorces in our community. And I was about to embark on a marriage myself. So I was really taking time with that, and I was really praying about it, and I was really trying to make sure that I got it right. So for me to get it right, I had to do a lot of praying. And one day in my prayer session, God gave this to me. It was a scripture in the Bible that says, what God has put together, let no man depart. But the key question to that text for me was, did God put it together? And I think that's where a lot of relationships fall short, because we get in those relationships for the wrong reason. The sex was good. He looked good. That's fine. That's okay. But how long is that going to go when you're in the COVID season and you can't go nowhere and I can't go nowhere, but we got to sit here and look at each other every day? And I told my wife this just during the COVID season. I said, thank God we like each other. Because if you didn't like me and I didn't like you, we'd be in here about to kill each other, because we've been in this house for 6 months. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, you have to put all those things into details and make sure that you do it in order, because the God that I serve is a God of order, and God made men to be leaders. Now, when men do not be leaders, that's where the chaos comes, because we're out of order.
Oh my goodness. So let me ask you this, because you said women, a woman needs to allow that man to operate in that space. So is it possible that you've got a strong man, a strong leader, a man who's a leader, who has a woman who won't allow him to? Does that make her the weakest link, or does that still make him the weakest link?
Again, what happens is, in that relationship, you ought to be able to see if this is something that's going to work, and you'll be able to see that in the courting stage. And if we doing this thing the right way, and see, again, this is what we mess it up at. Instead of us getting to know each other, we get to know each other physically before we get to know each other mentally.
Oh, don't say it. Don't tell the people that.
You know, but look, you know how I learned that? Because I've been there and done that. So I know what it's like. You know, so I've experienced that. So again, when I was trying to pick the white Roman, because I said this to myself, when I get married, I don't want to do this no more. I'm a one-time wonder. I'm a one-hit wonder. That's all I got. You know, that's all I got. So I've been in this thing for 27 years now. Has it been easy? No, it's been some ups, it's been some downs, it's been many challenges. But again, God put it together. So when God is when you look at it like this, look at it from an umbrella perspective. Christ is the head. The man, he's supposed to provide, protect, and lead. Then comes the lady, she's supposed to nurture and give that love. Then the children are supposed to obey and love the parents. If we follow that order, then you don't have no problem. But sometimes we get the order jacked up. The children run the house. Sometimes the lady runs the house. That's fine if that's the way you want to do it. But I'm talking about the order. And I'm not talking about no role is disrespected, because I'm not going to say your role is more powerful than my role. But I'm saying if we work together and work the order, then it's going to come out correct. Now, that's the ideal situation. But again, I learned that through my experiences. I didn't just learn that when I was his age. When I was his age, I was running around like a dog trying to catch a cat. That's what I was.
I in heat all the time.
Yeah, exactly. But again, God allowed me the grace to be able to figure it out and get the right perspective and do it the right way. But again, it's not an easy process, but you have to allow yourself patience. You have to allow yourself time to pray, and you have to allow yourself for God to send you the right somebody, because at the end of the day, when God created Adam, then he created not a soulmate, but a helpmate. You won't find the soulmate in the Bible. He created a helpmate. And when he created that, which was Eve, he created somebody to make Adam whole, and then make a family. And God is all about family. And that's what we about, family.
Well, I think you done messed somebody up just now when you said God didn't make a soulmate. I'm going to let them sit on that one for a minute. And y'all remember how we do here on Speak Up Sis Podcast. We chew up the meat and do what? Spit out the bone. just and like the old folk do now, where I'm from, the old folk used to chew on the bone, because that's what a good hearty stuff at, the good healthy bone marrow. They used to chew on that bone. There's some old folk ain't got no teeth. So chew up the bone and swallow that bone. Right. So sometimes what you think is something hard to chew and to digest is really where the good healthy stuff is. Yes. So before you spit out that bone, y'all chew on a little bit, because it might be some good stuff in there for you. All right. So listen, we've got the wisdom speaking tonight. Let's hear from the youngin', because he younger than me too. So y'all, I'm gonna call him a youngin' tonight. You sitting in the youngin' seat tonight. Yeah. My oldest child is 21, about to be 22. So we're gonna let you sit in that boat tonight. How about that?
All right, that's fine.
All right, Jonathan. So weakest link, do you agree with your father, or do you think it's her? Do you think it's him? Do you think it's them, or neither? Weakest link.
In all honesty, Miss Charmaine, I have to agree. It's the men. And
wait a minute, you're 26, 27. What we say?
Yeah, my boys gonna hate me if they hear this, but I mean,
I need you to speak into the mic. I need you speak into the mic and tell KSI.
That's what you just said. Look, I'm trying to make sure. I'm like, can y'all hear me? But that's why you said it. Okay.
Yeah. Say it again for the people in the cheap seats.
Yeah. To all the brothers of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, we may not have the best stereotype, but there are good men that are Kappa men out in this world. But to answer that question,
I agree.
Man, you know, it's one of those questions that's a finger pointing question. You know, where no, I think it's the men, or I think it's the women. And the reason why I say it's the men, because as Pops mentioned, men are born to be natural leaders. That's my personal opinion. Whether you're leading in schools, whether you're leading in the community, leading in church, I think a man's presence should speak leadership when they walk into the room. And one thing that we, in my generation, I think is kind of hurting us is the outward influences. Social media is huge. And then I'm gonna be honest with you, in certain cases for our young men, you can't really blame the young men for who they are based off of where they came from. We mentioned that in our marriage and relationship season that we had on Black Men Vent 2, that a lot of times a young man doesn't know necessarily what a good marriage looks like because he wasn't brought into one. A young lady doesn't know what a good marriage looks like because she wasn't raised into one. The young man doesn't know how to be a husband because his father wasn't a husband, you know, and vice versa with the women. And then another thing, just for young men, just particularly in my generation, we're not as mature as we think we are. I have to admit that personally. We are not as mature as we think we are. I do believe that a woman should be submissive, but only to a man that is worth submitting to. And in our generation, the young men that we have that I'm a part of, I don't think we give women nothing to submit to. That's the big thing. We do walk around, just being honest, with pants hanging down. We do walk around, selling drugs, this, that, and the third. Again, that may be what the young man was brought into. So I try not to truly fault or judge. But at the end of the day, you your own man. You your own man. You put your boxes on in the morning just like we do. And I think regardless of where you come from, that doesn't state where you should be heading to. So that's how I look at it. I definitely think men is the weakest link, but I do think a weak linked man and a weak linked woman can still build a strong chain.
Oh, boy, I need to get my pen, the leather and the weak. Okay. So I like what you said. I would like for you, because I'm going to share in just a moment what I think, and then we can chop it up in a second. But you brought up a word that is, I don't think it should be taboo anymore, but it still is, and it is definitely one of those words that trigger people, and it's the big S word.
Oh man. Oh man.
Yeah, it's triggering for a life, especially women. We had an episode of Speak Up Sis Podcast. It was a chew up the meat, spit out the bone episode where I get on and just tell people what I'm gonna tell them, whether they like it or not.
Right.
And it was about women, fiercely independent women. Being fiercely independent women, and why am I successful and still single? And my perspective is that because many of us are so fiercely independent that we're not willing to be soft. We're not willing to be feminine. We're not willing to be the big S word, which is submissive. So you said the young men are, and many men, I'm gonna say the older men too, because I'm gonna just
tell it.
This is not. Let me get in my mic. This is not about a young man thing, because I have dated some geezers, okay? And them jokers is raggedy than the young boys. I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna pull up off my soapbox. Get back professional here.
Right.
And say, right, that you say that that men sometimes don't give a woman anything to, submit to. But my thing is, should women be submissive to a man or her husband?
Her husband. Her husband. Now, because again, this what again, I think this is what we get it twisted at. You get a lot of people that practice marriage and think the marriage is gonna come out the way it's supposed to. But a lot of time when you practice things the wrong way, you don't get the right results. So you got a lot of people that are practicing. So you get a woman that's in a relationship and she's submitting to a man, because when that text talk about submitting to a man, it's talking about a husband. It ain't talking about a boyfriend. You know what I'm saying? It's talking about a husband. So you submit to your husband, but that's once you get married. Once if we're in the courting stage, we're trying to figure each other out. And do I want to submit to him? Is he worth submitting to? Like he said, that's the whole key. And see, another thing too, and I'm gonna throw some game out there. At the end of the day, you got the power. The women got the power because if you stop, I'm gonna keep this clean.
You listen, okay, this is Blue Flame.
Okay,
we don't cuss in this. We don't cuss, but we say what need to be said.
Okay, Blue Flame, but I'm gonna try to be illustrated. If you allow me to play with the toy, allow me to look at the toy, but you allow me to go ahead and open the package up and start playing with the toy, then I might start playing with the toy and I don't want it no more. I want another toy. Do you understand what I'm saying?
We understand loud and clear.
Okay, so but you got that power. Women have the power, and a lot of men sometimes we have to be careful. I know you probably experienced this too. And again, I'm just talking about what I'm talking about. I've been there too. I'm saying one thing, but I'm meaning something else.
Ooh.
Just saying what I'm saying.
Yeah.
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 And that goes both ways.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? It goes both ways. And so I'm gonna throw this out there. I asked myself, like, Angel, when you think about this, who do you think is the weakest link in these relationships when they start getting raggedy? And I have to say that I believe it's actually the woman.
Okay.
And maybe this is maybe we're harder on ourselves, maybe because I am a woman, maybe because you all are men, you see it the way you see it. But I know for me, like you said, we were created as a help. We're helpmeet. Not only that, we were created with a gift of influence. Women influence.
Without a doubt.
We're like incubators. You get, like, when you give us, we influence that thing. We make it grow. We make it beautiful. We do all of those things.
Nurturing.
So you can have a solid man. You can have can I keep it all the way 100?
Keep it.
You can have a raggedy man.
Yeah.
Because I done had some raggedy men. But let me tell you, if you got a little piece of man with a whole lot of potential.
All right.
And a lot of times we don't want to do no potential. I ain't doing no potential, because when we get to a certain age and we got a certain status and we got certain whatevers, we don't do potential no more.
True.
Okay.
True.
That's neither here nor there. But the truth is that a woman who connects with a man who's got a good heart, he's sure of who he is. He's just a bit raggedy around the edges. Let me tell you something. A woman who knows who she is, she understands who she is. She's confident and comfortable in who she is. She will help that man.
Without a doubt.
She will help him to stand in the place that he needs to be. And I'm gonna throw this one out there as well. I believe a large part of the division that we're seeing when it comes to Black men and Black women is the fact that you've got a lot. There used to be a time when Black women would not allow Black men to be less than kings. It was an expectation that you did what you were supposed to do, that you took care of your family, that you did these things. And guess what? Big mama, auntie, whoever, she cooked, she took care of the family, she did the things she needed to do. She loved her, she made sure the bills was paid, bought her. But there was an expectation. And then it turned into this thing where women became okay because somebody said, well, you need to be like them because they easy. You need to be like them women because they cater to their men. You need to be like them women because they this. And the truth is that Black women, we won't allow our men to sit in the house and be less than who he is.
That's true. That's true. And
so when we're not in our place,
yeah. Come on.
When we're not in our place, then we allow things. And here's the thing, because we are influencers, you can also influence him to be even worse than he is.
True. Right. True. Right.
It's some men that are with some women. He might not have been the best thing, but he just something terrible with her. Like I see some guys, I'd be like, just get out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cow. Because she is not good for you.
Right. Right.
You know, so for me, I if I have to choose, I'm gonna say women who don't know who they are, don't know their place, and I don't mean like your place as in your place in the kitchen, because y'all will people take that all out of context.
Right.
But they don't know the position they play in the family unit.
Yes.
Then I believe that they become the weakest link.
Right. I can see your perspective, and it makes a lot of sense. And I guess because you're coming from a strong female perspective, and we're coming from a strong male perspective, so we're both taking responsibility for our roles. So that's what the thing is. I think both men and women need to take responsibility for their roles. But this thing about it, you got to know your role first. So you said it right. You got to know your role first. And if a man don't know how to be a man, and a woman don't know what to look for in that man, then you're right. It could be the woman, but this man, and that's what I said at first when we was talking about the initial starting this conversation out. That's the reason we have to do a lot of praying if we want to get it right. A lot of praying, not playing. A lot of praying. And then once we pray right, then we'll get it right. And then the plan will come. I'm still playing now after 27 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So see, all of that'll come. You know what I'm saying? But let's get it right on the front end. So I think so. I respect your views because you're coming from a strong female perspective. You say you got 4 young men, you got 4 kings. You got to be strong. You got to be strong. You got 4 kings that you're trying to raise. You know what I'm saying? So I see your perspective. But for me, I gotta be strong and teach my son how to be strong men, so that when they do get the right woman, you won't spoil her. I'm not talking about spoil her in a good way, but you won't spoil her in a bad way. That if the relationship don't work and then she goes somewhere else, then she's so messed up from this relationship that she won't know when she's in the right relationship.
Yeah.
I feel you, Jonathan. Look like you trying to say something.
Yeah, I'm itching over here. I'm itching a little bit. It's I think the big curse word, if you will, that I'm hearing is accountability. And and women, black men and black women, we don't like to hear that you're wrong. I think that's it's so interesting to me because in my previous relationships, in the relationship I'm in now, I just think that when somebody tells you you're wrong, something about the hairs on your skin just stand up. Like I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but I think you have to be able to hear that, accept that constructive criticism when you're looking at the end goal of what a relationship should be and how God wants it to be modeled. So accountability, I think, hurts both men and women, but for sure for me, I still believe that the man definitely is the weakest link. But accountability, and then to throw this in there, our culture, we don't allow ourselves to heal. I mentioned this in our marriage and relationship season on Black Men Vent 2, that follow me here. If I get cut and I'm bleeding, and I'm bleeding, I grab a Band-Aid. Band-Aid is used to stop blood, you know what I'm saying, from a scar wound. What the problem that we come into as Black men and Black women, we'll remove that Band-Aid before it's ready to get air, before it's ready to scab, before the scab's ready to fall off. We'll remove that Band-Aid and go bleeding in somebody else's life. Like, it's just not cool. Now, and I'm saying it because I've done that. I'm a true transparent individual in that I can attest in my own life. I have not allowed myself to be single as long as I probably should have to allow me to heal from the bleeding prior. So in certain relationships, I can attest that a part of it may have been my fault because I'm still bleeding. And I never truly allowed myself to really bandage myself up, heal, scab, allow the scab to fall off, and I move on to whatever God sees fit. So I think accountability and just true, bona fide, genuine healing is something that our culture needs to embrace.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. I love the word accountability. I use it all the time. And just a really quick, I'm gonna throw this in there. The Chrysalis community is our brand spanking new women's only exclusive community where we provide information, resources, support, as well as community for women. And we help women to own their stuff, to acknowledge, to own, and then to give voice to it in order to heal, right? Because scripture tells us in Revelation 12:11 that we overcome him, we triumph him being the enemy, right? And I tell people the enemy, his tricks,
right? Oh, without a doubt.
Guilt, shame, self-condemnation, low self-esteem, all those things, we triumph him via the blood of the Lamb, and the word of our testimony, and we do not love our lives to the death. And the truth is that so many of us are because social media and influencing all these things, we are so worried and concerned about our reputations, our lives.
Yes.
Right? Because that's what your reputation is. It's your life.
Yes.
You're so concerned about what people think and what they see on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. So, I'm taking that to the grave. Tack on to the grave with me. Right. So instead of acknowledging, dealing with it, sharing it in order to overcome, in order to heal, we would much rather just act like it didn't happen, pretend it didn't happen, and just keep moving on. So ladies, the Chrysalis community is here to make sure that you get all of the information, the knowledge, the resources, the support, as well as the community for your personal as well as your professional lives, so that you can heal and then make things happen in your life that you're supposed to make happen. So make sure you check us out at speakupsis.com, the Chrysalis community. So gonna put that little plug in there to help these women come on in and get what they need. All right. So accountability. I love talking about accountability. A lot of the women who come into my space don't really like to stay too long because as soon as people start talking about, but Angel, he did this, but Angel, he did that, but Angel, I'll be like, No, that's because if you're riding your bicycle and you, maybe the chain, the spoke or something get caught in the spoke and the bike and you fall and you bust up your leg to the white meat. When you go to the hospital to get it taken care of and to get it healed, they don't go look for the bike you fell on.
That's true. That's true.
Fell off of.
That's true.
They don't go try to find the piece of concrete that scraped your leg.
Right. That's right.
Go dissect, like, what was this concrete made of? And who put this concrete right here? Right. And why, go get that bike. Let's go figure out who. Don't nobody do that. Ain't nobody thinking about the bike that you fell off of. Ain't nobody thinking about that curb. In order to heal your leg, we've got to take a look at you.
Right. Come on now. Yes.
Right?
Right. True.
So even when we're talking relationships, we look at you. We need to take a look. Forget that man you fell off of, fell on and fell off of. Okay. Let's not talk about him.
Come on.
Let's not talk about the circumstances and situations. Let's talk about how you got hurt. Let's talk about why you were in that situation. Let's talk about why you were riding that bike without a helmet. Let's talk about why, without knee pads. Let's talk about why you were riding a 10-speed when you wasn't ready for the 10-speed yet. Come on. Let's talk about these things.
Yeah. No, I think you got it. I think you hit it right on hit the nail on the head, because at the end of the day, when I don't hold myself accountable, and like you said, when I don't face my demons, guess what? Those demons don't go away. They're still there. So you have to face those demons. And when you face them, then you got to win. You can win, but you got to know how to win. Yeah. And I think what you're doing with giving these ladies an avenue and a place where they can basically do what we try to do on our podcast is come vent and let you know everything. But this the key, and this is what we try to make a platform for our men on Black Men Vent too. We tell them all the time, like like pre recording. When we get ready to start recording, we need you to be as transparent as possible, because what's going to happen is your story is going to help some listener get a better perspective of what he's dealing with. But if you're not willing to be transparent, then we really can't help like we need to help. So that's the reason me and my son have been transparent. Whatever subject matter we talking about, even when we first started the podcast, he talked about him having a bout with suicide. I talked about me growing up thinking about suicide. So you got to talk about this stuff. But guess what? I faced it. He faced it. Now here we are. So you just got to be willing to face your demons and look them straight in the face and say, no, I'm not going. I'm not going. Now, are they going to stop coming? No, they're not going to stop coming. You still breathing, right? As long as you breathing, they coming. But you can win because you said it earlier. Self-control and allowing the Lord to lead your path so he can lead you around them, lead you over them, lead you through them, whatever the case may be. But I had to realize, just like he had to realize, and I believe you realize also, we can't do it by ourselves.
That's right.
We can't do it by ourselves.
I agree. So I'm going to jump out there to say that, or maybe, you all let me know if you might possibly agree that it is very possible that maybe the answer is both. And depending on the situation, the circumstance, the individual, that both men and women have an opportunity to be the weakest link.
I can agree to that, to be honest with you, Miss Charmaine. And if it is both, then the biggest thing that we face now is communication. That's the biggest thing. And for our generation, I cannot speak for others, but for our generation, we love arguing. I used to think it was a horoscope thing, or just certain Sagittarius is a Gemini's, or what I used to think. But no, it's a real thing. Like we love to argue, and it is so funny to me. And one thing that I find interesting, first things first, I believe arguing is healthy. A relationship. I would not say that arguing should not happen, but what you're doing is, instead of arguing who is wrong, I always try, even in my own relationship, I pray that I'm doing my best at it, is to point out what you can do, what you could have done better in that current situation. Because again, when you're arguing, things are getting heated up, that stove temperature getting higher and higher. And at a certain point, we at 600 degrees with no pie in the oven. So we got a problem. So with that being said, we have to find a way.
Man, you show you 26, 27.
I am. I got a lot of old wisdom behind
we
me.
600 degrees and ain't no pie.
Ain't no pie in the oven, so there's no reward from this. You know what I'm saying? We just arguing and ain't no reward. So instead of literally pointing the finger, man, of you wrong, nah, you wrong, nah, you wrong. I always preach effective communication. I feel like I can talk to you, you can talk to me, but if you can't tell me what I told you and vice versa, that wasn't effective. Effective communication in the relationships of our Black culture, I think, is important, because when you're arguing with your significant other, you're going to point out the wrong first instead of you trying to point out what you personally could have done better to dance better in the tango that y'all doing. That's my personal belief. There's nothing wrong with arguing, but I think it's a way to truly get your point across without being disrespectful, and also still getting your point across to where it better solidifies the relationship.
And let me further that also.
Okay.
And even what he just said, I want to throw this piece in there. Even when you married, you still have disagreements. Me and my wife have disagreements right now, but the thing is, even if we can't come to a resolution, we have to agree to disagree and keep on loving each other. Because at the end of the day, I've never slept on the couch. I don't care what we arguing about. I didn't buy the couch for me to sleep on it. When I go to bed every night, I don't care if we have been arguing, we still sleeping in the same bed. So we can agree to disagree. And then one thing about, like he said, and this has to be true, my wife has done this to me and I've done it also. we might come back later after we thought about it and say, well, you know what, you was right.
Yeah.
But I have to be a big enough man to say you was right, and she has to be a big enough woman to say I was right, and then we have to be big enough on each level to say, don't be saying I told you so.
Right.
I told you I was right. No, don't do it like that, because when you love somebody, you're not looking out to make them look bad. Yeah. You're looking out for us to look good together. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that, I'm glad you went there, because that's kind of where I wanted to interject. So one thing you'll have to know about me is I love words.
Mm-hmm.
And when you use the word argue,
mm-hmm.
I don't particularly like that word.
Mm-hmm.
And here's why. Because an argument is an exchange of diverging or opposite views, typically a heated or angry one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And also an argument
mm-hmm.
is a reason or set of reasons given with the aim of persuading
mm-hmm.
others that an action or idea is right or wrong.
No, that is. So what you're saying, I'm trying to argue to get my point across.
Yeah.
So I'm not communicating.
Right.
I'm not talking to you because I genuinely want to understand what you're saying, and maybe I heard incorrectly or I perceived it differently than what you wanted to put out there. No, when I'm arguing, I'm trying to make a point that what I am saying is right and what you're saying is wrong. And we're typically doing it in an angry way. That's not effective communication.
Right.
You're communicating, but is that effective? Right. So here, what you all were saying at the end is what I wanted to say about what is your intention.
Yes.
When you're communicating, where's your heart's posture when you are talking to your spouse or your significant other? Do you really care about what their perspective is? One thing I learned as a teacher is, I learned it dealing with the high school kids, is that a person's feelings are valid even if they're not accurate.
Come on.
Wow.
The way a person feels, if you say what you said hurt my feelings,
yeah,
and then the other person says, I ain't saying nothing to you. What you talking about? What you just did was invalidate my feelings. Now, whether or not you intended to hurt my feelings, right? The intent, my understanding of your intent may be inaccurate, but my feeling is real.
Right.
So let's deal with the fact that you can allow me to feel this, and you can acknowledge that I feel this, and we can talk about the fact that that wasn't your intention. And so I then can come up out of my feelings because you just validated and said, babe, I understand that your feelings are, because I can see that you're crying. I can see that your voice is quivering. I can see that your eyes are red. I know that. So clearly, I said something, I did something, I looked a certain way, something
Mm-hmm.
happened to make that happen. But babe, that was not my intention.
True.
That doesn't have to be an argument.
Right.
If my intent, if my heart is that I want my husband or my man to understand that my feelings are hurt, I don't have to fuss and argue and holler and scream. And if a man's heart is postured properly towards me as his woman, then he doesn't want my feelings to be hurt. Right. He doesn't want to hurt my feelings. So when he sees that they're hurt, instead of him getting angry or you always this stupid or I don't even understand why. No, I would think he would go, hold on. This isn't what I want. This isn't the feeling I want her to have when she's with me. So maybe she misunderstood something. Right? Doesn't have to be an argument.
So true. And a lot of times you just said it, it's a miscommunication of the original intent. And you know what? And that's when I don't like, and we was talking about this on one of our podcasts, is getting in a heated discussion over text. we texting, and you might text something, you know, just like me and my wife was talking about the other day. You might text me and I answer you back, what? But it might sound like, what? Or what? You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, what? You know what I'm saying? But that ain't the way it sounded, because like you said, the way you send it back in the text, that ain't what I was expecting. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't like doing that text thing when we got deep to discuss. And like you said, that can cause a real bad miscommunication. And this another thing too. We learned this in the church sector in some of our Bible training classes, that when you have a conflict, there should always be conflict resolution. And the first thing in the conflict that a person should ask themselves is, what could I have done to make that not have been a conflict?
Yeah.
That's good.
And we don't do that. I mean, it's just, let's just be honest. I mean, let's just keep it black and white. I mean,
black and white.
We don't do that. Like, we don't go into a conversation and the first thing you say is, well, baby, I was wrong with such and such and so and so. We go into the conversation extremely, and like you said, with fire, you hurt my feelings and da 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 da, and I don't like how you. And it just. So for me, if I am, you know, if I'm dating or whatever, if I'm talking to my girlfriend, I am gonna tell her, hey, later on we need to talk. I think that question is such an interesting question. If you're reading it, you know, text or whether, you know, in word or whatever, if somebody says to you, we need to talk, you're going to have, me personally, I'm an overthinker. You're going to think 100,000 different things of what you did for this person to have this conversation with you. So naturally, that aura, I think, is going to present itself, not necessarily in what you're saying, but your body language. I think I read a study somewhere when one of our seasons we was on, that was talking about body language is the most used form of communication out of any others that are used. My biggest pet peeve is when I love my mama to death, but sometimes she do it, but I love her to death. When I'm talking to just anybody for that matter, just of how they may have hurt my feelings or I have a certain disposition with them or whatever. If I'm talking and I see that bothers me. It bothers me because it's like, you know, I'm taking time out of my day. I'm taking breath out of my lungs to talk to you about, you know, something that I feel, you know, if we love each other, and I'm speaking again on a relationship standpoint. If we love each other, you should not go into that conversation, oh God, what this man want to talk to me about now? Or what a lot of relationships say, we've been doing good. And now you want to come over here and do all this. We've been doing good. And I'm just like, dude, I just want to talk. So, man, you know, it's one of them things that I think at the end of the day, if I love black love. Let me say that. I love black love. I love being black, black love being me. So I just think if we find out as a culture in the courting stage, in the dating stage, everything, find it all out. The bad buttons, the good buttons, the traumas, what you like to eat, all that good stuff. Find those things out at the face front. So then when they are put in the forefront, I think you're able to face them a little bit better and make those two weak links again a strong chain in relationship.
And to add on to that at the end, if you see a red flag, don't go by like you didn't see it. Man, oh, I didn't see that. Man. You saw that at the jump. And now the red flag is waving and you like, well, I didn't see that at first. Oh, yeah, you did. You just passed by. You passed right by.
They're red flag.
You had them blinders on like a horse and you just kept going. Now pay attention to the red flags because again, you know what the old folks say, everything that looks good to you ain't good for you.
And sometimes the red flags look like Six Flags. So they're
they look fun.
Gotta be honest. Sometimes you want to ride the ride. So.
Yes. And here's the thing: even with red flags, a lot of times, depending on who you are, depending on what you bring to the table, sometimes you know they're also, because I can honestly say that I've been one to deal in some self-sabotaging behaviors, and sometimes I see flags that ain't even there. I'm just gonna keep it 100. So like you all have said, and like we talked about tonight, communication is key.
Oh,
Even if you see a flag, even if you see a flag that looks red, it might be orange, it might be yellow, it might, who knows, but at least address it.
Yes. Please
talk about it to determine if it is indeed
a truth
what you see, right? And then you like it's red. Move on, or whatever you set up for yourself to do. Make sure that you handle it. So listen, gentlemen, we told y'all that an hour goes by swiftly. I have thoroughly, I told you.
I had to go. I want to talk about some more stuff.
I know. This has been a wonderful conversation. I want to just shout out again our guests here in our YouTube space. If you are watching on YouTube or if you're listening on the audio podcast, please check us out at Speak Up Sis on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell so you know when we upload new videos or when we're live. We're here every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Speak Up Sis Podcast. So please subscribe to our channel and join our family. I'm always looking for amazing guests to have these candid conversations. So please check us out on speakupsis.com. And you can submit a request to become a guest on the show. You can also connect with us on Instagram and Facebook at Speak Up Sis Podcast. You can listen to this show on audio tomorrow on Tuesday. And you can go back and listen to all of our previous episodes as well. I want to say thank you, Valerie Champion, for being in the conversation tonight on YouTube. Gemma, I appreciate you as well. Miss Wakil 28, she says, Black love is beautiful. Thank you so much for participating in the conversation tonight. They have really enjoyed you guys. You'll have to make sure you go and check out some of the comments that people have had with you all tonight in this space. Thank you all so much for sticking it out with us. Ashley Bingham, thank you so much for joining us. Lynn, and if I did not see your name to call you out, just know that I appreciate you and I love you. Please, gentlemen, tell the people how they can connect with you all beyond this episode.
If you're in Nashville, come holler at us. I say that. But on a serious note, again, Ms. Charmaine, we want to thank you. Thankful to the Speak Up Sis audience.
Thank you.
YouTube watchers, wherever you may be, overseas or in the United States, we want to thank you for allowing us to be on your platform and allowing your audience to embrace us. Black Men Vent 2. We're a small piece of leather well put together. You can find us at Black Men Vent 2. You can search for us in Facebook. Give us a like, give us a comment, throw us something in Messenger. We will get to you. But Black Men Vent 2, you can find us on Facebook. Give us a search on Instagram. Our name is Black Men Vent _2. Black Men Vent _2. Follow us on Instagram. Those are the only two current social media holdings that we have right now. But we're on all the different platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, Facebook Podcasts, iHeartRadio. So we're continuing to build and build Anchor. So just a lot of different platforms we're on. And then if you have any questions, just give us a shout. My name is Jonathan, and my pop's name is Leon Davis Jr. And our goal is to reframe, reshape, and rebrand the Black man one episode at a time.
I love it. And Valerie Champion says, bring them back. So
awesome.
Valerie, I just can't be a fiercely independent, aggressive woman and be telling them what they gonna do, but y'all coming back.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us tonight. This has been a wonderful conversation. I appreciate you. Listen, if you are a Black man and you are watching, if you know a Black man, please make sure that they connect with Black Men Vent 2. Men have something to say. What they have to say is important, is valuable, and it matters. So please make sure that you connect with them and see what it is that they have to share. Just from listening to them tonight, you know that they're amazing. So listen, everyone, please know this, both men and women. we both have an opportunity to be the strength in a relationship, or we can be the weakest link in a relationship. But in order to make sure that the two of you are going to work well together, you want to make sure that you are willing to hold yourselves accountable, and that you're willing to communicate with one another. And like my guest said tonight, 2 weak links can make a strong chain. And with that, everyone, you all have a beautiful evening. And until next time, good night. Bye.
Oh, God.